Get someone in the audience. Okay, we do. Walter, Nick.
Who?
Walter Pershnick.
Hello.
Hello there.
Hi.
So good afternoon. Today is Thursday, June 26, 2025. It is 2:01 p.m. And this is the Savannah Square Townhome Service Area Association annual meeting. As we start, Rose, can we verify this meeting is properly noticed?
The meeting was properly noticed.
Thank you. So with that, we will call the meeting to order at 2:01. So in accordance to Article 6.3 of the Crow bylaws, the association can elect their committee members. The committees can be of 3 to 5 members. During the application period, if more than 5 applications are received, then an election from the service area can be conducted to elect the 5 members. During the application period, we received 1 application from Mr. Paul Rashkan. Thank you for your application and time and dedication to your service area. As we have not received more than 1 application, there is still opportunity for anyone during your annual meeting to apply to be able to reach that quorum of 3 to reconstitute a service area committee for the Savannah Square Townhome Service Area.
I so apply.
Mr. Perchnick would like to apply.
What's his address?
Your address?
732 Mulberry.
Still true.
So unfortunately, due to a lack of quorum and a lack of additional applications during the application period or the annual meeting, there's not enough applications in to create a service area at this time for the Savannah Square Townhome Service Area Association.
Excuse me, as an existing board member, I have the power to appoint a replacement for anyone who's left. I'll appoint Walter. We now have 2, and that would be a quorum out of a minimum number that would need to be 3. So at least according to the instructions we got and according to the bylaws, we now have a committee.
Unfortunately, a quorum of a committee is always a minimum of 3. So with 3, while the committee.
That's not what it says for Savannah Square. We have a different charter that was granted to us, different than the charters you're currently using. I have previously sent copies of that charter to you in case you don't have it. That charter says that is actually a reflection of the charter as it exists and existed under the original bylaws. And it provides that we have the power to appoint our replacements and that I continue in my position for as long as it takes for me to be replaced. So I appoint Walter to be a member of the committee. That's 2 people. 2 would be the majority. Would be a committee if it had been 3. So we're a quorum. And 3 is the minimum number for us. It's a small service area. It's only 17 homes altogether. So a quorum would have only been 3. This means 3 in fraction.
I'm looking into this now. Do you have that document that's showing that your quorum is 2?
I previously sent it to you. Not that it says it's 2. In fact, the instructions that we received say exactly what I'm saying. The notice of the meeting says, if the quorum is not reached at the annual meeting, the one remaining board member may appoint an owner who is present, Walter is present, to the committee to achieve a quorum. That's exactly what the cover letter says that was sent to every homeowner, and that every homeowner would have been expecting the meeting to operate under those rules. That's what you sent out. So I've just done that. We now have.
That's the previous one. That's the same. This is the old one, the one we said.
What?
This is the one that we sent. It's in the book.
So that's what the cover letter says, and every homeowner who would have received it would have expected those rules to apply to this meeting.
On the 2021 resolution. Does not carry over to the 2025 resolution.
We weren't created under the resolution that you're looking at, we were created earlier under a different resolution. Those resolutions were part of the original bylaws and charter, don't have the limitations you're describing. This service area for Savannah Square was created, I think, in 2020. I guess.
That would make sense to that document.
Yeah, so you can.
And it reflects the language of the charter, which somehow the new resolution you use ignores. Walter, welcome. Welcome to the board.
Thanks.
Thank you. This one? But that's another one, that's what we sent.
The 2021
There.
resolution.
It reflects the language of the charter at the time, still the charter.
Yeah, under section 3 composition states that, this is from the 2021 that you're mentioning, at least 3 to 5 members as determined by the majority of a quorum of 20% of the owners within the service area to meet service area meeting at the meeting of the service area owners.
Doesn't say anything.
Well,
about
it says 20% of the owners. If Savannah Square is 17, 20% of that is through what, 3.4? So is that where you're saying the minimum of 3 people on the committee comes from? And then quorum has to be achieved from there being at least 3 people. It's not, because a quorum of a majority of 3.4 is still 2. So with 2 present, we constitute a majority of the 3.
What is the status of the last existing board members? Sunshine and Stephanie, did they ever formally resign? So they exist as board members as well.
They did not apply last year.
They don't have, they carry over under the charter until they're replaced. And they are board members unless they formally resign. They would remain as board members, which would really give us,
I mean, Dr.
Four.
Sunshine resigned.
well, I didn't see anything from Sunshine. And I didn't see anything from Stephanie.
I don't know Stephanie resigned.
So we technically have 4 members of the board on the board. They may not be here today, but they're still on it. So according to the letter and according to the numbers as you count them, this committee exists. And it still exists. It always existed. You couldn't make it inactive even if you tried because you have carryover board members. Somehow there's a real resistance at Grand Manners to having this committee exist. I resent that. We get treated like we don't exist. The paperwork I get from you all is incomplete to the extreme. I get a report from Grand Manners once a month as a board member, which doesn't even accurately reflect who's on the regular board, on the Crow board. It is so replete with misinformation and lack of information that I question if anyone has even looked at what they're sending out month to month. To the extent we make requests on behalf of the service area, we get nothing accomplished. I would like, and I've asked repeatedly, for a copy of a full list of all the email addresses for all the homeowners in Savannah Square. That the number of owners and then the owners themselves have changed over the last few years. I don't have a simple way to communicate with any of us. So
I will have to send, I cannot provide the emails, but I can send an e-blast asking them if they would like to share their emails with you guys.
That's not correct. I've previously gotten lists of email addresses, but those people have moved away. It is incorrect to say that a member of the board of the service area is not allowed to have access to the email addresses of the other members of the service area. That's just plain incorrect. There's no rule that says that. You have to point me to a rule that says that. As a board member, I'm entitled, just like I get your reports, these full reports that tell me all the financials. I'm entitled to know how to communicate with people in our service area. I think the reason you have such little activity is you give nothing back. And everyone's so frustrated with what Grand Manners does for us that they don't want to participate. I'm surprised I still want to participate. But I'm going to continue to fight for the rights of this service area. Pay a lot of money for the little that we get. And we get very little in response. And now, great resistance to the committee even existing. You currently have, as far as I can count, 4 board members under the charters and laws that govern this service area. We have 3 carryovers, 1 new member. You have 4 that's within 3 to 5. We have 2 present, that's a quorum. We're ready to go. We're ready to have a meeting. Is there a response to that?
Yes. No, I'm just double check. Let me just check one last thing.
Check if it's checking something.
So I have put up on the screen and I will share. In accordance with section 6.3, service area committees, in addition to any other committees appointed as provided above, each service area that has no formal organization structure or association may elect a service area committee to determine the nature and extent of services, if any, to be provided to the service area by the association, in addition to those provided to all members in accordance with the charter. A service area committee may advise the board on any service area issue, but shall not have the authority to bind the board. Such service area committees, if elected, shall consist of 3 to 5 service area owners, as determined by vote of the majority of quorum of the owners of the units with the service area who are present or in person or by proxy at a duly noticed service area owners meeting. A quorum equals 20% of the service area.
Where's the provision that's also included in the charter? It says that board members carry over until they are replaced. I don't see that in your language. It's an incomplete statement of the service area committees. There's specific language that says board members serve.
So this also states that the service area committee shall hold an annual meeting each
No,
calendar.
I'm talking about the language that says that the service area members who are elected remain until they are replaced.
So that would be,
Except that language be repeated.
It's the second paragraph right there.
yes, the second paragraph that I was,
Okay. So what's the problem? You have
shall be elected for a term of 1 year or until their successors are elected, or such other terms such other terms as may be permitted under the supplementary governing service area document.
So you have 4 members. We're ready to go forward with the meeting. And we have a quorum. 2 is the quorum.
So we can,
I know you're going to resist this, But in black and white, this committee still exists.
Mhm.
You've looked at the 2021 charter. We had a full vote that's been recorded. I have a copy of the election that took place that created this service area. I know we get treated like we don't.
No,
exist.
Mr. Rashkan, we welcome service
are
area
ready.
committees.
Why can't we go?
Highly welcome. We can continue with the meeting. However, that even if you have 4 members, as you're stating that you may have 4 members of your committee, you still do not reach a 3-person quorum.
There is no rule that says a 3-person quorum.
So if you have 4, as
We
you
have
may
4
be
members of
stating,
the committee, and a quorum of our 4 is 2.
a quorum is a majority.
Excuse me. First of all, your own letter that you sent to us says otherwise. You're fighting with yourself.
Where
The
does it
letter
say
that Graham Manor sent to us specifically says, if a quorum is not reached at the annual meeting, the one remaining board member may appoint an owner who is present to the committee to achieve a quorum, which would be difficult for one person to appoint one person and then have a quorum. That would be 2 people. So your own letter is acknowledging I could appoint only 1 more to get a quorum, but the reality is there were 3, and there still is now 1 more. 2 is a quorum because you only need 20% of your board under state law. You only need 20% to achieve a quorum. 20% of 4 is less than 2. It's less than 2.
That's in regards to an annual meeting, yes. But in regards to a quorum of a committee in itself, so as far as elections, based on what you're saying, I understand. And an appointment,
So let's start with the beginning. This service area exists and is active. Not what you said, it won't be active this year. This service area exists and is active.
we can act on that as we continue to look into this, yes.
You can look into it all you want. The black and white says that. I know you want to resist the existence of this service area. We're going to fight you. We're going to fight you as hard as it takes. If I have to take you to court over this, I will.
We're just trying to act in lines with the
No, you're not just
documentation.
trying to do anything. Just like everything else that Graham Manor does for Savannah Square, it's nothing. We get no responses when we send emails. We get no responses when we complain about the landscaper. We get no responses. No one looks to see what's been done. This 17 group homeowner is so frustrated with the lack of anything that we get from Graham Manors. Don't be surprised that no one wants to really show up here to see if we can waste our time even further. I'm supposed to be 250 miles from here right now. I came just for this meeting because you said it without even asking if it was convenient with anybody to set a meeting in the middle of the afternoon, in the middle of the week. Well, you've done that. It's now in the middle of the afternoon, in the middle of the week. I have traveled 250 miles to be at this meeting. We have a person who's on the screen who has volunteered to be on the committee, and we carry over from the board. God bless you. We're prepared to go forward. I was prepared to add to the agenda. We would like you to look into finding a different landscaper for us. We want quotes for a landscaper. I have talked to another service area a block away from us. They've done that. Campus Street. They've already done that. I want you to do the same. I want to know what it would cost for us to change. The service we get is deplorable. We don't get any real responses. We're paying a good amount of money for the lack of work that we get. We expect better. We expect someone from Graham Manor to come out and look and see how bad it is. We would expect it whether we ask or not. But how about now that you've been asked repeatedly by different homeowners, someone comes out and looks? Did anyone come out to look to see if the trees in our alley that were planted by Exquisite have been trimmed anytime in the last year or 2 years? Never been done. Has anyone come back to look in the back alley at the bushes planted by Exquisite to see if they have trimmed them so you can walk through the walk path from the alley into your property? Have you looked? Has anyone here been out there to do that?
Yes.
We have.
You have. When?
I go monthly.
Monthly?
It's like,
Really? Well, why hasn't it been fixed? Because monthly, you've been asked repeatedly by different homeowners and emails for it to be fixed. It's still the same thing. No one's touched a tree. No one's touched a bush in the back. So if you are aware of that, what kind of management are you giving us that you're telling the landscaper to do nothing to repair?
until, he's still working in your service area. There's still some stuff to be placed. I have heard your complaints and I am on top of him on them. at this point, I do think you need to do an RFP and get another landscaper.
I think you need to do an RFP to get a management company for the surface area. To be honest, you do nothing for us. You collect a substantial amount of money. You refuse to even recognize the fact that we exist when we clearly exist as a matter of law. You want to play hardball on this? I can play hardball all day long. I got nothing better to do with my time than to take you to court over this if you're going to deny this service area the right to have a service area committee that was duly elected before Grand Manners even got here.
I will not deny you that right. Mr. Ashton, I see now with you and Mr. Pershnick, who are the other members that you stated are a part of this committee?
Well, James Sunshine always was, and Stephanie, whose last name is
Tiago,
Tiago,
yeah,
they were duly elected for the years they served on this committee. There was one other, Damon Smith, who has moved away. We had 4 at one time. We are at 3 now. We become 4 again because Walter has volunteered, and he's certainly acceptable to the rest of us.
but
So we have 4.
they did not, fill out to bid last year, and they did not go through the process to fill this year, at least Stephanie and Dr. Sunshine.
You know, the idea that you all have to somehow approve this isn't even what the charter says. The charter says we have to hold an election. It doesn't say you have anything to do with it or you can approve it in any way.
No,
That's how the charter says. Our charter, we held an election. We used to meet in the street at least 4 times a year and walk around the neighborhood. We've held elections. You want me to hold an election? We'll hold more elections.
We were ready.
We don't need you or your application process to hold an election to have people serve on our service area. It's different than what you have manufactured since you got here as a process for service areas. We exist by way of the charter. And the charter doesn't make any of the requirements you do. Nothing in that language that says someone has to submit an application or get board approval. It doesn't work that way. The service area elects its own board reps. We just let you know who they are. That's all. So we're ready. And again, we're ready to go forward with the meeting.
Okay. As, if you may state, you are a committee of 3 to 4, depending on if we have the record of Mr. Sunshine's resignation, with Stephanie Tiago potentially as a 3rd member. The 20% quorum is regarding your annual meeting. A quorum of a 3-person committee is still 3 people, as it is to 3 to 5 people.
Where are you seeing that language in regard to 6.3 or our charter?
In, what's that, in section 6.3, that the committee is 3 to 5 people.
Where does it say a quorum exists with?
A quorum of, if your committee is 3, 4, or 5.
I didn't
quorum
answer
is
you.
if a committee is 3, 4, or 5, the majority is a quorum, and that quorum is 3. So that being said, at this point of time, in this meeting, you do not have quorum of committee members.
You keep making a statement of law that doesn't exist. Where does, it doesn't say that in the state law. The state law says otherwise. Where does it say in the charter or in our Savannah Square charter that a quorum consists of no less than 3? Because otherwise, it's governed by state law, which is 20% of those present. So as I see it, 50% is our quorum right now. Walter and I would have to agree. Otherwise, we'd have a split vote because it's 2 people present for this meeting. It's being recorded.
It
It's
is.
just astonishing to me that for the money you collect from this service area, the dollars you collect, that you fight us even existing, no less getting anything accomplished. You fight us even existing when we existed long before you were ever here.
All right, let's see here.
I'm new to all of this, and I have a couple of questions. I noticed that the document that you've been referring to, Jacob, is the CCDD charter, I believe. No, that's the CROA charter. My apologies
Oh.
on that one. And sorry, and Paul, the document you've been referring to is the charter of the Savannah Square, for the charter specifically for Savannah Square, right?
Right, and Walter, I'm not sure that's even around to be seen. I'm not sure that they have hidden everything that relates to Savannah Square under the guise that we don't exist. Last year, I had to tell them, yeah, we do exist. We've existed longer than you've been here. And so they now acknowledge that we exist. The charter was a document that was created immediately after the election in 2021. It was based on the CROA charter language, which is very broad. It just says we exist. And the language pretty much you saw in 6.3 is supposed to be 3 to 5 members of the committee. And that's all it says. It says
Yeah,
that carry on. Once we've been elected, we carry on until we're replaced.
Gotcha. That's what I was trying to find a copy of in the governing documents
Once upon a
website.
time, Walter, once upon a time, it was on the main page under service areas. But they have redacted so much and deleted so much off that page. I'm not sure it's there anymore. We used to have full budgets there. We had all kinds of things on that page that I can't find anymore. I do have it on. As soon as the meeting ends, I'm headed back to South Florida. Won't be going back home. Walter, I can get it back to you over the weekend when I get back again. Although I'll tell you, is there a reason why Grant Manners can't send it to him now that he's volunteered to be on this committee? Send him a copy of the charter of the committee. Jackson Mummy was the person who signed it, I believe. He was president at the time.
Yes, in the second addendum, it's this document we can send to. Personally.
Walter, I appreciate that your volunteer helps.
Thanks. I mean, it's our homes. It's this how
Yeah.
we make sure we take care of them well.
Fortunately, the others got so frustrated that nothing ever got accomplished that seeing the result of. We have a very detailed landscaping document that specifies how landscaping should be handled, which is violated every single day that the landscapers come out. They managed to kill the grass they planted 6 weeks ago by cutting it improperly, not with a lawnmower, but with a weed whacker. They have literally scalped into the ground in many places. And the document says, in no uncertain terms, our lawns should be mowed in no way except with a lawnmower. How come it took 3 or 4 people to complain to you all before they started to enforce it?
Okay, so as we would continue to look into this matter, we will acknowledge the committee. As it stands, we can adjourn the annual meeting and start the Q2 meeting to start discussion on any business of the service area. So at 2:29 on the 26th, we'll adjourn the annual meeting. At 2:29 on the 26th, we'll start the Q2 service area meeting. Rose, was this meeting properly noticed?
It was.
It was properly noticed. Okay.
Okay, so it's clear, I'm going to be, together with Walter, scheduling a service area meeting. We don't need you here. I want to notice the homeowners myself. So I need a means to communicate with each of them. Email would be preferable. I'm entitled to that as a member of the board of this service area. And so is Walter, for that matter. We don't need you to communicate on our behalf. We don't need you to hold an election if we need to, but we're certainly going to be holding meetings on the homeowners to let them know that we now control what's going on.
Okay. Is there anything else, any other business you'd like to conduct in your Q2 service area meeting?
Yeah, just generally the responsiveness. I routinely send in requests either directly 2 Grand Manners or using the app and routinely get no responses or responses okay, but nothing happens. I complain because for over 2 months now, the sprinklers come on in the park across the way from us in Savannah Square Park and flood my street. The sprinklers are aimed at my front yard from their park. And it floods the front of my house. I have complained about it for months by talking to Brian, by sending requests through Rose and to the app. And nothing has been resolved. Why? What would be the reason for that?
If it's parks, I have to direct it to operations, you know, the parks are not handling certain things.
Brian handles both. He's our landscaper, he's that landscaper. Does it answer the question of why it hasn't been resolved? I literally have I have such a collection of water on the street in front of my house that I have guppies and tadpoles growing in. I have kids coming by to collect the guppies so they can go fishing, but it stinks, as you would expect it to. It smells hard. It is 2 feet wide, at least 6 inches deep, and the width of my house is. But so it's flooded. So in the meantime, I have communicated the only 3 ways I know, and it's still that way more than 2 months later.
So we will follow up with Brian as far as making sure that irrigation inside the park is pointed inside the park, not towards road or.
He's got 180-degree heads, except there's a round edge on the park. So 180 degrees means he's watering the street.
Okay.
On at least 2 of them, it waters right into the front of my house. For that matter, I believe some of my sprinklers are watering into the street. As I noticed that the park was not watered yesterday, and it still happened today, not as much. I've talked to Brian about it. This complaint has, as I say, been before you all for a couple of months, no response. My question is why? What am I paying for if you're not even going to bother responding to it? The app says nothing. The app says, which it's been on the app for over 3 weeks. But that's the way, 10 days, right? It's over 3 weeks, no response. So that's, the app is worthless. In the back, a number of homeowners commented to you, Rose, that none of the trees and the bushes in the back are being maintained. If you say you've been out there and you've seen it, then you know that to be true. Why isn't it fixed?
He was dealing with some situations where he had to dug up for some irrigation. He was working on that. He was waiting on some sun to go and do the trimming and put the sun. That was the last he told.
Okay, this is a lot of nonsense. Yesterday, the guy came out who trims bushes, he trimmed the bushes in the front of my house. In the past, I have had to say to him, do the one in the back. So about 4 or 5 months ago, so last time I mentioned Jim, 4 or 5 months ago, so last time it was done. He's never done the tree, but he's done the bushes. I have a tenant who can't get in the walkway because the bushes grow like this and block the walkway. I didn't bother to tell him yesterday, but what does that have to do with whatever else Brian was doing? The man who comes out and trims the bushes was there to do the front. Why hasn't Brian told him his job also includes the bushes in the back? When they came out and they trimmed the tree on Mulberry last couple of weeks, they trimmed one of the trees in the front, one of the ornamental trees. Why did they not trim all of the ornamental trees in the back? And who was looking at this? But someone sent you an email. Rose, what was the response? Why hasn't that been done?
I have to check on the email. I usually respond to all emails. I usually.
Oh, you respond, you say, okay, I'll pass it along, or okay, I'll tell. Nothing happens. It doesn't get done. It took him an extraordinary length of time to find the wire that was broken on the landscaping, the irrigation system on our side of the street. I kept telling him the wire runs around the front. They're looking for it in the back. He said, the wire goes around the front. They eventually found it 4 or 5 months after it had been out. In the meantime, they managed to break the fiber line from Xfinity. But I'll give him credit for having looked. Well, that crew has nothing to do with trimming trees or bushes. That's a separate subcontractor of his that handles irrigation. So it doesn't make, do you know that? Do you know that he uses different subcontractors? Yeah, okay. So why would it matter that he has a subcontractor working on the irrigation line? Why would that matter whether he has trimmed the bushes and the trees in the back? A different, either it's his direct employer or a different subcontractor. I wrote to you and said, now that he has killed the new sod by using a weed whacker, I thought it was just in front of my house. Turns out everyone's got this problem. We all have not just brown spots, dead grass. They've whacked it down to the dirt.
I told him about that from my last landscape, walkthrough, and he is to go back and put that. But under warranty, he has to go back and do that.
Okay. He never finished the job. I have spaces, I don't know if I know at least on my side of the street,
From your
there are
side.
two good spaces next to the tree where he never put sod. And I actually asked Brian, I said, did your subcontractor who was laying the sod decide not to do this? And Brian said, no, I didn't think it would grow there. And I said, well, the sod will grow better than the jasmine, which never grew there. Put the sod in. That conversation is probably 6 weeks old. You took pictures, but great. Doesn't he do anything? Response to this.
He has to go back and put the sod. We have had issues with delivery of sod.
He just had a delivery of sod. This
But there
family-
was but there was he should have done that before, that's what I'm trying to say. But they didn't have the sod, so now this week is when they brought it.
But the sod was inadequate to fill in even the area around 525. It's certainly insufficient to fill in all the other areas.
He has to go back.
Do you think he knows he's supposed to be replacing the dead sod?
Yes,
Because I talked to him yesterday, he didn't seem to think so.
he has to.
This is what we complain is, first of all, we pay you a lot of money so that we're not supposed to have to even think about this. This isn't my job to be the landscaper overseer. That's your job. And if I write to you and tell you about it, that should be sufficient. In the meantime, I'm talking to Brian on the street because nothing's happening in between. Why is there so little response from Grand Manor overseeing the job in a way that we as homeowners can just sit back and say, thank you for getting it done? Why are you out there doing this?
We're actively reviewing, we're inspecting it, and we're trying to hold the vendor accountable, and we'll continue to do so.
Look, I have cameras all around my house. I don't see Grand Manor's out there doing anything. I haven't seen anyone in my back looking at the trees or the bushes. You want to go through the times with me? You won't see yourself on any of these cameras. I don't see anyone in front of my house. I see all kinds of things I don't care to see. I see a huge expanse in front of my house off of my ring doorbell. I don't see anyone from Grand Manor's out there. I have a camera in the back of my house. By the way, these are all park approved. I've got a camera back by the garage that aims right at that tree. I see everything in that backyard, from garbage men to the kids on the bikes to the people walking. I don't see anyone from Grand Manor's out there. So don't tell me you've been out there looking, at least not on my house yet, and not to 523, which is to my left, and not to 525, which is further down the block. So. What's that? Oh, my wife reminds me, we have a branch coming off of a tree on the street in front of our house. It broke. It was a branch that really extended from the tree toward our house. Some storm, it broke. It's hanging there. Someday it's going to fall and kill someone. It's just brown and hanging there over the sidewalk.
Huge.
I would have expected someone to look up and see that landscaper, but if not, will someone please pull it down?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Because the last time that happened, one just dropped. No one was under the time, fortunately. But these are the things we would expect a management company and landscape company to do, not to be told about. But we're telling, okay, so we're telling. So, Walter, do you have anything you'd like to add? We welcome you. I'm glad you're here.
There were two things that I wanted to talk about. One was this related to the sod replacement on the alley behind Mulberry. I think mine might actually be the only one that has grass back there. I think all of the rest are dry-scaped. The sod was replaced and it's mostly dead back there, so they're going to have to fix that one too. If that wasn't already noted as part of the warranty work that you had mentioned had already been documented with the landscaping company.
Okay,
So are you 738?
7:32.
732, okay. Got that?
Yeah. And then just the other was clarification around the pressure washing. Yeah, because I think if I've understood things correctly, the one it's biannual for the sidewalks and driveways, and then annual for the exterior surfaces. And so I just want to make sure that the full responsibility for the pressure washing is clear, so that I know what to expect, so that I can help as a resident owner hold our vendors accountable by knowing exactly what the scopes of work are supposed to be.
The spring, there's one in spring pressure washing, that's flats only. And in fall, we're already working on the RFP, is a full one. I can send you the difference so you can have it. I have a sheet so you can know what to expect in each one.
Perfect, because I don't think the last fall one, at least for my property, was done correctly. So figure opportunity to learn, and we can get ahead of any questions for next time this way.
Walter, you're correct,
Thank you.
and I've just given up raising everything I can raise. We have fences that divide each property. Those are supposed to be pressure washed on the full pressure wash and have never been pressure washed in the last 5 years. They're supposed to be. And,
Yeah.
And they weren't. And that also includes, I think, Walter, you do the same thing. We have some concrete at the entranceway where the fence is, where the gate is on the back.
Yeah.
Those were not pressure washed either, and they have sort of black stripes dripping down them of, it's just, they have faux pineapples at the top, and when dirt collects on it and then washes off, black streaking comes down. Those have never been in the last.
Yeah. And part of the reason why I was curious about the RFP process was just given the timeline that was provided for that work there, and the size of the crew that arrived, it physically impossible for them to have done everything that was in the scope as I understood it for fall in the time that they'd allocated with the number of people who were present. It just can't be done. So that's why I figured there had to be some sort of misunderstanding either between my expectation for what it was covered or the vendor's understanding of their responsibility and the scope of the contract, because the two things were just simply incompatible.
Walter, I watched them. I was there. I can't speak so much for the front as the back. They just took a hose to my building. Just literally hosed it and basically got the windows wet and used the hose again to, I had just cleaned the windows, hadn't cleaned. So I ended up with water streaking as a result of this. They did nothing in cleaning in the
It's not
back,
the same vendor.
and they do nothing along the garage apartments.
But yeah, so yeah, I mean, we're too far past that at this point. So to be able to rectify it and with that vendor, but that's why I'm very curious about the RFP for the next one and figure we can get it right in the future and make it better.
Sure, will do.
So Rosen, I want to add this. I know you just recently did the sidewalks in front of our house, which I didn't think was well done. I do it myself mid-year with my machine, but I would welcome you to walk in front of my house. The square that's right in front of my steps is already blacking again, turning black again. It just wasn't well cleaned in the first place, and it didn't take long for the black to return. They did sort of I don't know if they used any bleach on it. If you don't use bleach on it, it's going to come right back. And I don't think they used any, but I noticed as I walked out there today, that square right in front of my steps is already changing color. What is it, 3 weeks since they did the work?
No, that was in April.
They weren't in my house in April. You think it was in April?
April and first week of May, yes.
Maybe. All right, anyway, And I would add one other, because I don't think I don't even be charged with this. I get a notice every year that they're cleaning out the gutters. No one's ever cleaned the gutters out on our properties.
Yes, they have.
No one's gone up 3 stories. No
They-
one has gone up on any kind of equipment to go up 3 stories to clean the gutters. How did they do that if they didn't?
They
have a
have,
ladder.
equipment, and as a matter of fact, the vendor that we used last year did the best gutter cleaning job that we have had since.
And they provide photo documentation of the gutter after cleaning as well.
No one was on the roof on our building, and I don't believe on any of the buildings, at 3 stories. We're talking about, these are different than all of your other properties because these go up a full 3 stories. And our gutters are at the top of the 3rd, both front and back. Again, how did they get there?
They were using
Can't get
ladders.
there from inside.
No,
Yeah,
they were using ladders. They did not enter houses. They went on.
It's been years now, and I just don't think. Walter, did you ever see anyone do that? Cleaning gutters?
huh?
I don't even know when that one would have been, so it may have been before I moved in.
Okay, I think I just know about it because I saw it on a certain schedule, and I always wondered, are you including us in that? Are we paying for that? Because
They were there, and we were there. When they were doing it, we have pictures also, I can send them of their work there.
I'd love to see the picture. I'd love to see what they said they did. You know, when you send the people out to repair gutters and stuff like that, it's even roofers find it difficult to get to the 3rd floor. Usually they have to put a ladder on one of my lower roofs, like over my patio, to go up another level, to yet go up another level. There's no simple way to do it without ladders. And the ladders would be visible to us. Never seen anyone do it. And the cameras have never captured anyone do it. So yeah, I'd like to see the pictures for our block.
Okay,
Are we due for a painting anytime soon?
let's check.
Let's see here. Your reserve study has your next painting.
It's in 2022, if I'm not mistaken. 2022.
I'm not pushing for it, I'm just,
2027.
okay, so that's down the road. Our roof is still down the road,
Your roof is actually the same year as a painting for 2027.
27. Okay, that's good.
Yeah,
The only large reserve items before that, in 2026, you have an allotment for fence metal replacement, including any metal gates.
Right.
And vinyl fencing in 2027 as well, if any vinyl fencing needs repaired or replaced. And outside of that, in 2025, there is just the allotment in your reserves for any landscape improvements at $3,822 and any painting of metal railings at $1,000.
The landscaping has been one of the positives, at least on my side. But I will say, and I think this is just exasperating to me. I don't know how you deal with this. The same guy who just loves using his weed whacker comes through and he periodically will whack down the Asiatic jasmine in front of my house.
Mhm.
And we also have a blue days, 4 feet by 2 feet of blue days, which is a blue plant. He weed whacks off the tops. All the plants are gone again today. It'll take 3 months for them to come back. He just doesn't know the difference between Asiatic jasmine and blue days. They're different heights. They work, even after he's done, they're still different heights. He just,
No, they should, yeah.
you should prohibit the use of a weed whacker. All he does is, so when, I mean, Rose knows this. I've gone out to buy my own landscaping when they kill it. Bless you. It's their job to be doing that, but they never do. Yeah, everything looks good this week. Until they get their hands on it, it will look fine. It's like the sod in the front of the house looked great until they started mowing it. And as soon as they started to mow it, which they didn't do with a mower, they started killing it. So the positive is, I think most people would say that their front landscaping looks good. Their back landscaping probably looks okay. In the back, it's overgrown. In the front, they don't appropriately trim.
I'll make sure he does that.
I would just take that weed whacker away. And when I mentioned to Brian, he just shakes his head like he can't believe his guy does this, but I mean, it's his guy.
Yeah, no, they shouldn't be doing that. I agree.
And as you know, Rose, there's still significant amount of sun that was just never placed behind 525. So he got a look, but he still didn't get enough to do the back area.
He has to
Same
get,
house.
he still to receive some more sun. There's been issue with the sun,
I don't
from
understand.
the growers, not from,
No one else seems to have that trouble.
We've
Yes.
got reports from AES and United as well, because they're all buying the sod from the same provider, and the Citra Blue has been fully bought up, but it's coming back online. They're getting
All
more.
right.
We're having a meeting in our house soon.
Yeah, Walter,
Come to our house, we'll make coffee.
I got to go back to South Florida today, but I'm gonna be back, a little bit over the weekend, and I'm going back south, and I'm going back next week. What's your schedule like?
Oh gosh, I have a hard time planning more than a couple days ahead usually. But just shoot me an email and we'll figure out a time to chat. It'll be nice to get to meet you a little bit more.
To wrangle more neighbors to come, trust me, I'm very influential. I offer dessert, I will come.
Yeah, we'll have it in a nice, pleasant surrounding, and, no, I really very much appreciate that you're here, because otherwise I'd be, speaking into the wind.
Thank you.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you both.
thank you.
Yeah, we have to head out. We're due down there.
Yeah.
Safe
Bye.
safe travels,
Thank you.
right safely.